here, right? So Baldoni says this was all an effort to hijack the film to get her way. Lively claims she was the victim of harassment in a hostile work environment. Not surprising.
Shutting down a woman's claims.
She is claiming that there was harassment. He's saying none of it is true, never happened, never did.
It began quietly, as these things often do. A slow crack in the perfect facade of Hollywood's most enviable friendship. Taylor Swift, the global pop icon with a gilded career, and Blake Lively, the actress turned director with a knack for reinvention, were once inseparable. Their bond, forged through years of public adoration and private confidences, seemed unshakable. But beneath the surface of their 10-year friendship, tensions were brewing. And when the legal storm between Lively and her It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni erupted, it dragged Swift into the crossfire. A move that would shatter the illusion of harmony between the two women.
Has denied all of these allegations. They have responded to this filing, this lawsuit, saying,
At first, the headlines told a simpler story. Lively's lawsuit against Baldoni, filed in December 2024, accused him of harassment and orchestrating a smear campaign to discredit her. It was a Hollywood scandal of massive proportions, complete with allegations of power plays, retaliation, and emotional devastation. But by the spring of 2025, the narrative had taken a darker, more personal turn. Baldoni's countersuit for defamation and extortion, a jaw-dropping 400 million currency claim, named not only Lively but also her husband Ryan Reynolds and, crucially, involved Taylor Swift. The move thrust the pop star into a legal maelstrom she had no desire to be part of.
New video released by lawyers for actor Justin Baldoni showed unedited footage from the filming of It Ends With Us.
The accusations from Baldoni's camp were as shocking as they were specific. According to his legal filings, Lively had used her close ties to Swift as leverage, allegedly citing her and Reynolds as her dragons, powerful allies who would protect her in any battle. Baldoni claimed that Swift had even been present at a meeting in Lively's New York penthouse to discuss a contentious rewrite of the film's rooftop scene. Swift's team, however, fiercely denied these claims, releasing a pointed statement. Taylor Swift never set foot on the set of this movie, she was not involved in any casting or creative decisions, and she has no connection to this legal dispute. But the damage was done. Swift, known for her meticulous control over her public image, was now caught in the orbit of a scandal she had no stake in. And then came the most explosive allegation yet. Baldoni's lawyers claimed that Lively's legal team had threatened to release private text messages between Swift and Lively unless Swift publicly supported her friend in the lawsuit. It was a bold claim, one that Lively's attorneys vehemently denied. Still, the mere suggestion of such a betrayal was enough to fracture their once ironclad friendship.
I will say, it is also interesting that the defendants in this answer also admit that they sent text messages. I mean, when Lively produced copies of these text messages that she got through a subpoena, there's really nowhere else to go on that. You got to admit that you sent these, but it doesn't mean that Baldoni and the other defendants will agree to the context or the characterization that was laid out by Blake Lively. For instance,
the fallout was swift and brutal. On May 22, Baldoni's team withdrew a subpoena that would have compelled Swift to testify, citing evidence reportedly provided by her father, Scott Swift. According to insiders, Scott had intervened to protect his daughter, handing over information to Baldoni's lawyers that undermined Lively's position. The nature of the evidence remains undisclosed, but its impact was unmistakable. The subpoena was dropped, but the rift between Swift and Lively had become irreparable. Behind the scenes, sources described a desperate Blake Lively trying to mend the relationship. She's been reaching out to Taylor with texts, voicemails, and even emails, begging to talk, an insider revealed. Blake insists there's been a misunderstanding and that she would never do anything to betray Taylor. But Swift, by all accounts, had made up her mind. Taylor feels betrayed and exploited, the source continued. She's done. No amount of pleading will change that. The unraveling of their friendship played out in parallel to the escalating legal drama. Lively, once a fixture at Swift's side, was now conspicuously absent from her life. Even Swift's boyfriend, NFL star Travis Kelce, made a pointed statement by unfollowing Reynolds on social media. The message was clear. Swift's inner circle had closed ranks, and Lively was no longer part of it. The emotional toll on Lively was evident. Those close to her painted a picture of a woman caught in a perfect storm of professional and personal crises. Her lawsuit against Baldoni had already been weakened by a judge's ruling that denied her the ability to present evidence of emotional distress without turning over her medical records. And now, with the loss of Swift's friendship, she faced a public relations nightmare as well. The once powerful duo, known for their shared laughter and public displays of loyalty, had been reduced to cold silence and unanswered messages.
She also provided a cease and desist letter asking them to cease, quote, all unlawful conduct, namely what they alleged is the, quote, harassing and retaliatory media and online campaign against Miss Lively.
Meanwhile, Baldoni's team seized the opportunity to amplify the drama. His countersuit, filled with lurid accusations, painted a picture of a calculated campaign by Lively to destroy his reputation. He claimed that Lively had used her connections to Swift and Reynolds to intimidate him during a pivotal meeting about the film. While Lively's lawyers dismissed these claims as baseless, the media frenzy surrounding the case only grew. The trial, set for 2026, promised to be a spectacle, with multiple lawsuits and counterclaims colliding in a courtroom drama that would captivate Hollywood watchers. For Swift, the ordeal was a stark reminder of the costs of fame and loyalty. As a pop icon who had built her career on a foundation of authenticity and connection with her fans, being dragged into Lively's legal battle threatened to tarnish her carefully curated image. Her decision to cut ties with Lively was as much about self-preservation as it was about personal betrayal.
With this scene that was captured on tape, you'll see there's nothing nefarious going on. She says this actually proves her point. There's an argument that she is hiding her discomfort with what he's saying and doing, and she's just trying to finish the scene like any kind of professional. Which way you take it, which way you perceive it, again, that'll be up to a jury or the fact finder.
The feud between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively is far more than a story of two friends falling out. It is a tale of ambition, betrayal, and the high stakes of celebrity alliances. At its heart lies a cautionary lesson about the fragility of trust in a world where every text, every meeting, and every word can become a weapon. As the legal battle between Lively and Baldoni rages on, the public is left to wonder, how did it come to this? And who, if anyone, will emerge unscathed? For now, the answers remain as elusive as the friendships lost in the fallout. What happens when a friendship forged in the public eye collides with the brutal reality of courtroom drama? As Blake Lively's legal battle with Justin Baldoni continues to spiral, the implications reach beyond personal grievances and into the murky depths of Hollywood's power struggles, legal maneuvers, and public perception. The fallout from this case, set against the backdrop of an industry known for its carefully curated images and backroom deals, is reshaping how we think about accountability and influence in entertainment. The stakes are higher than ever, and the courtroom is now the stage for a drama that could set precedents far beyond the careers of its key players.
Wrong. They say Friedman may even be violating the New York rules of professional conduct for lawyers by doing all this. Quote, his conduct threatens to and will materially prejudice both the Lively case and the Wayfarer case by tainting the jury pool because his statements are deliberately aimed at undermining the character, credibility, and reputation of numerous relevant parties.
The legal battle between Lively and Baldoni has become a chessboard of high-stakes moves, with each side deploying strategies designed to discredit the other. Lively's initial claims of harassment and retaliation were met with Baldoni's countersuit, alleging defamation and extortion. But as the months rolled on, the case transformed into something even more complex. Lively's decision to withdraw two key claims, intentional and negligent infliction of emotional distress, was not just a legal tactic. It revealed the intense pressure she faced when Baldoni's team demanded access to her private medical and therapy records. The judge's ruling that she could not present evidence of emotional distress without turning over these records was a critical blow, forcing her to recalibrate her strategy. Was this a move to streamline her case, as her attorneys claimed, or a concession that her original claims might not hold up under scrutiny? For Baldoni, this moment was a clear victory. His lawyers were quick to frame the withdrawal as a sign of weakness, accusing Lively of attempting to maintain the right to refile the claims without providing the proof required to support them. In their filings, they described her approach as a calculated attempt to avoid accountability while keeping the door open for future legal action. But Lively's team shot back, calling the motion a press stunt and accusing Baldoni's camp of abusing the legal process for publicity. The back and forth between the two sides has been as much a battle for public opinion as it has been a courtroom fight. Every statement, every filing, and every ruling has been dissected by the media, creating a narrative that is as much about image as it is about justice.
First and foremost, I should tell you that I have a major scoop regarding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, their newest legal plan, or something that they were attempting.
And then there's the broader context. This isn't just a case of two Hollywood figures airing their grievances. The involvement of advocacy groups, legal experts, and industry insiders has elevated the stakes to a level that could impact the entire entertainment landscape. Lively's claims of harassment and retaliation have drawn attention to workplace protections in an industry that has long been criticized for its lack of accountability. Advocacy groups have rallied behind her, framing her case as a litmus test for how Hollywood handles allegations of misconduct and abuse. But Baldoni's countersuit complicates this narrative, raising questions about the line between seeking justice and wielding legal action as a weapon. In an industry where reputation is everything, the implications are profound. The legal strategies at play here are nothing short of a masterclass in defense and counterattack. Baldoni's team has focused on dismantling Lively's credibility, using her decision to withdraw claims as evidence of a weak case. By pushing for access to her medical records, they forced her into a corner, creating a lose-lose scenario: either hand over deeply personal information or drop key elements of her lawsuit. It's a tactic that has been criticized by some as invasive and unnecessary, but it was undeniably effective. Meanwhile, Lively's attorneys have worked to paint Baldoni as a manipulative figure, using his resources to silence a victim. Their filings have emphasized the emotional toll of the legal process, accusing Baldoni of retaliatory tactics designed to intimidate and discredit her.
Liz Plank was out, instantly said she quit, a show of support and solidarity with Blake after everything dropped, and people began looking into.
But the legal battle is only part of the story. The ripple effects of this case are being felt across the industry as other actors, directors, and executives watch closely to see how it unfolds. The lawsuit has exposed the vulnerabilities of even the most powerful figures, revealing how easily personal disputes can spill into the public domain and threaten careers. For Lively, the stakes are not just legal but existential. Her reputation, her career, and her future in the industry are all on the line. For Baldoni, the stakes are equally high. His countersuit is as much about reclaiming his name as it is about seeking damages. Both sides are fighting not just for legal victory, but for survival, in an industry that is quick to turn its back on those embroiled in scandal. The legal fallout has also reached unexpected corners of the entertainment world, with whispers of other high-profile players being quietly subpoenaed or implicated in related matters. Several producers and studio executives involved in the initial development of It Ends With Us have reportedly been called to testify regarding their knowledge of the alleged toxic work environment on set. These individuals, some of whom have long-standing ties to both Lively and Baldoni, now find themselves caught in the crosshairs of a case that could redefine how accountability is enforced in Hollywood. The industry is bracing for the potential unveiling of private emails, internal memos, and behind-the-scenes decisions that may reveal a broader culture of complicity.
And so Liz Plank was a perfect person for them to go after because first and foremost, if you don't know anything about her, I had never heard her name before this scandal. She's kind of branded herself as like the ultimate feminist. She is also Canadian, and everything that she does, like I think she majored in women's studies at McGill University, and she's very carefully done work as a big supporter of gender equality.
The tension is palpable, not just in courtrooms, but also among advocacy groups and public relations firms that have been drawn into the fray. Organizations that had initially voiced support for Lively are now navigating a delicate balancing act. As Baldoni's countersuit raises questions about the legitimacy of her claims, some groups have doubled down on their stance, framing the case as a critical moment for addressing systemic issues in Hollywood. Others, however, are taking a more cautious approach, wary of being seen as endorsing one side before all the facts are revealed. This divide highlights the complexities of modern advocacy in an era where public perception can shift in an instant. Adding another layer of intrigue, reports suggest that key players in the entertainment industry are watching the case not just for its legal implications, but for its potential ripple effects on future creative collaborations. With both Lively and Baldoni tied to major studios, streaming platforms, and lucrative franchises, the outcome of this case could influence how studios approach casting and partnerships in high-profile projects. Some insiders speculate that the trial could even lead to new contractual clauses aimed at mitigating risks associated with personal disputes. In an industry already plagued by controversies over contracts and power dynamics, this case has become a flashpoint for a larger conversation about transparency and ethics.
And ladies and gentlemen, just buckle up. This is amazing. If you really want to get into how psychotic Ryan Reynolds is, the fact that he cast her as an expert for this will really clarify that for you, okay? I'm thinking, oh, it's got to be something important. No, she appeared as an expert to deliver to audiences what the definition of a bromance.
And then there's the question of Taylor Swift. While Swift has managed to extricate herself from the legal proceedings, her involvement has left a lasting impact on the case and on her relationship with Lively. The allegations of coercion and the subsequent fallout have added a layer of intrigue and drama that has captured the public's imagination. Swift's decision to cut ties with Lively, combined with her father's intervention to protect her, has created a narrative of betrayal and loyalty that mirrors the themes of her own music. The fact that a friendship once celebrated as unshakable could be so easily undone speaks to the pressures and complexities of life in the spotlight. As we look ahead to the trial scheduled for 2026, the questions only multiply. How will the court rule on the remaining claims? What new revelations will come to light as the discovery process unfolds? And perhaps most importantly, what will this case mean for the future of accountability in Hollywood? The entertainment industry is watching closely, not just because of the high-profile names involved, but because of what this case represents. It's a test of how far the industry has come in addressing issues of power, misconduct, injustice, and how far it still has to go.
I heard on very good authority that the same was done to Liz Plank, okay? So they primed her, got her as an expert of bromance. Sorry, serious expert of bromances, put her on the show. She's a perfect candidate, she's a feminist. And then they tried to pull the Me Too button. She instantly took their side, jumped off of the podcast with him, made a statement.
Beyond the legal and industry implications, there's a human story at the core of this drama. It's a story of ambition, betrayal, and the cost of standing up for what you believe in. For Blake Lively, this case is a fight for her dignity and her future. For Justin Baldoni, it's a battle to restore his reputation and protect his career. For Taylor Swift, it's a cautionary tale about the price of loyalty in a world where every relationship is a potential liability. And for the rest of us, it's a reminder that even the most glamorous lives are not immune to conflict and consequence. In the end, this case is about more than just a lawsuit. It's about the power dynamics that define Hollywood, the personal toll of public battles, and the complicated relationships that underpin the stories we see on screen. As the trial date approaches, one thing is certain: the drama is far from over. And as we wait for the next chapter to unfold, we're left to wonder who will emerge victorious and at what cost. Share your thoughts below. What do you think this case says about Hollywood, about friendship, and about the fight for justice? Let us know in the comments.